All right, so welcome to the inaugural video to test how the new sear kit from Blaz'n works. You know, kind of a weird story is I'd received this a while back, and it's been kind of a strange summer. The thing is built like a tank, and I think that's a good thing. And the only problem is that when I tried to record it for the first time, I'd lifted it across my body so I could get things in a camera shot for a camera and a tripod, and found that it was a little heavier than I thought. And so when I twisted my back, I actually ended up pinching a nerve and partially tearing a muscle. It's not to say that this thing is overbuilt. It is engineered what I consider to be perfectly. It's built to last, but it is a great feature. It's just a little hard to do when you're trying to do things on camera. So as a result, because I am a strange person, I went ahead and bought a GoPro system, kind of Kenji Lopez Alt version where you head mount it and take a look at things. I want to show you guys what is actually entailed with this system. So you can see right here, the new grill pan fits in place in lieu of the other one. What I typically do is leave the middle roller grate out of place, take out the shelves. This one will be for smoking some ribeyes a little bit later. And it's a pretty simple system. You can actually use the tool they provide to simply remove everything and have full access to the direct heat source down below. What I personally prefer is actually using my GrillGrates as a flat top, basically. And so what I will do is I will typically stretch them across in a row of 3, because I've got 3 steaks today, and I'll have them laid out right above the heat source on a griddle function. That'll give me easier access to remove that plate. It also gives me obviously easier access to simply slide these GrillGrates in place. Overall, a pretty straightforward process. I've got 3 prime ribeyes currently sitting in the fridge with a little bit of sea salt, a little bit of cracked pepper, and some Tatanka dust. They'll be going on for a smoke at approximately 175 until they come up to about 120, and then I'm going to preheat the grill, or actually crank the heat up, I should say, to probably around 400, and then do a quick sear, because the GrillGrates themselves will actually be running at a much hotter temperature. They tend to act as a heat sink, and they really do retain heat well. So check back in a bit when I actually start the smoking process. Okay, so we are back. I've got the smoker started up using a mix of Lumberjack Competition Blend and their Char Hickory. So typically the way I approach it is I keep the short shelf on the second row, keep the steaks up here, again leave these out. And you can see that in terms of the seasoning and everything else, they're pretty well seasoned on both sides. I do use a wire rack, and my logic on that is the fact that it's much easier to remove when it's time to let them rest and to let the smoker come up to temp. So beyond that, right now, running at approximately 175 temperature, and gonna get them started. Okay, should be good to go at this point. Went a little too far, actually. 128 is what it's looking like inside. So just a little bit less sear time. I've already put in these grates to start picking up some extra heat. And now we simply raise the temperature to 400. And let's wait and see what happens. So the neat thing about this is, in terms of the old school app, it still works perfectly good. I am very tempted, obviously, to start using the new Wi-Fi card and get some of the added features for the new app. But as of right now, that is a pipe dream. Until then, I will keep using the current system. Overall, I am happy with the way these steaks look. Of course, taste will be the better arbiter of whether or not they're going to actually be good. You can see, of course, that it has a much darker appearance to the Tatanka dust. The flavor, though, is magnificent, especially the fact they use some, I think, a Worcestershire powder in there, along with some standard spices. I did add a few things of my own, some fresh cracked Tella cherry peppercorns and some sea salt. So now that we are going to give this about 15 minutes to let these rest, and also to let the GrillGrates come up to speed, and then we will sear them. Okay, going to start off with just a few preparations. Rubbing a little bit of reduced or melted ghee, rather, on each of these steaks. And it's not really so much for flavor, just provides a little bit of a quicker sear in my experience. If I were doing this, of course, on a stovetop, I would be basting it probably with some herbs and some garlic and so on. So only do it on the first side because it's going to release some of that fat as it starts to sear. There we go. Let's get this party started. And now we let that go for about 1.5 minutes per side. So I typically do like to actually keep it shut while I'm doing it, keep some of the heat and the smoke in. You can see that it's, even at 400 degrees on the set temp, it's actually putting out some decent smoke. This is a little bit different in terms of the length of time that I held it in the fridge. These steaks did go in originally cold. I wanted to see if there was any sort of significant loss in terms of moisture, but the salt, of course, acting as a dry brine over 4 hours, kept everything nice and juicy, it appears. These, because they did run a little bit farther than I wanted, they were a little closer to 130. I like it usually closer to 120. We'll kind of see how things go. So at this point, let it go for about 15 more seconds, and then we will flip and do it again. So ultimately, the sear kit, I'm happy with it. It is heavy duty, and it is something that I am leaving in place in lieu of my old drip pan. You know, the original style they had for the sear kit was one of those that it was lighter weight and narrow. I do think that is a clever idea, but I didn't see the real benefit to it in terms of doing things that with GrillGrates especially that I couldn't do otherwise. I like the system. Do I think it's worth the money? Absolutely. The results I've had so far in multiple steak cooks especially have been astounding. I am going to be using it for a reverse sear method in the same exact fashion for prime rib over the Christmas holidays. I'll be posting a video hopefully for that as well. I like the system. I think that for those who see this as a pellet grill and not just a pellet smoker, it's a natural evolution. Some of the other manufacturers do have direct sear systems that are frankly more direct. This one, as long as you're willing to leave it in place, as long as you're willing to wrap it in tinfoil, which is optional, it's something I prefer to do, I think it leaves it leaves the shortcomings that one would expect from a pellet smoker on the shelf. I've turned this one into a much more versatile machine. I haven't fired my Weber in a very long time. So let's see how this looks now. And those are ready to go. So unfortunately, a little bit of a low light situation here. I'll try to take one more look at it once he's had a chance to rest. But that is it for now. So here's the final product. Let's see actually how it turned out. So it's pretty simple. Got some green beans with some bacon and some roasted garlic and some salt and pepper. As far as this, my favorite part of a ribeye is always going to be the spinalis. And let's see where it ended up. One of the things I like about the reverse sear, of course, is the fact that it gives you no real temperature gradient. And this one actually looks pretty good. Let's go for dead center and see what it looks like. And I think that qualifies as spot on for medium rare. So overall, the sear kit for Blaz'n, it's what I expected to be, and maybe even a little bit more. It makes the process super simple. As far as the camera, of course, I don't know really if GoPro is picking up the proper shade of red, but it looks to be a perfect medium rare. Notice again, there's just a slight gradient on very top from probably the first side of the sear, because that went just a wee bit longer. Overall, I think the proof's gonna be in the pudding, and let's see what it looks like on camera. Not too shabby. Not too shabby indeed. All right, that is the official beta test of the Blaz'n Sear Kit using Tatanka dust for the ribeye, prime ribeyes. You guys have a good day.